God bless the animators of Japan and everyone involved at Studio Cloverworks for this animation project, and even the freelancers as well. Just seeing My Dress Up Darling Season 2 start off so unfiltered, uncensored, unhinged at that, with Marin just bouncing around in her bunny suit is just... It's peak, man. I've missed this. It's been literally since 2022 of April, since the last episode of My Dress Up Darling, and fast forwarding to 2025 of July, I'm glad to be back, being able to sit down and talk about this series once again, and my goodness gracious, the fan service for this episode is peak. Like, honestly, I would say it's even above Season 1. It's definitely at the same level, but I honestly think there is moments that is above Season 1. Like, just the whole scene right here, that obviously I had to censor because YouTube will not allow me to play the whole scene. I've tried. I will tell you right now, like, straight up, I appreciate these animators, man. I appreciate, despite the global success of anime, that the animators in Japan, these companies, are not bending the knee to people from the West. They are continuing to create and write stories and animate stories for the Japanese audience, because it's what got anime popular to begin with. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, because this is somewhat related to this topic, but I saw this post today, and this post instantly made me think about this episode of My Dress Up Darling that came out today. And you have a lot of people that legitimately get absolutely upset that there's any form of controversial topics, taboo, or fan service scenes within their anime or manga, and they basically say that Japan needs to conform to Western ideals or other ideals to make something very safe for them. And it's just, I'm gonna be honest with you, I hate people that try to force other cultures to conform to their ideals. Like, that's gross, man. I'm just gonna say it. Like, hate me if you want or whatever, but I think if you're trying to force another culture to bend the knee to you, piss off. Seriously. But with that being said, if it was up to Twitter, or social media in general, something like My Dress Up Darling would never be allowed to exist. It would not be allowed to air if it was according to social media, because 3 years ago, when Season 1 of My Dress Up Darling came out, when we were able to actually sit down and witness this series for the first time, there was a shift within, the anime community and manga community at the time, but it wasn't as what it is right now in 2024 and 2025, where if you even go outside of what's deemed acceptable or normal in the anime and manga community, aka let's say like JJK for instance, or Chainsaw Man, you're deemed a weirdo. You're deemed someone that needs to be removed from the anime and manga community, despite you being in the community for decades basically, or since the 2010s or early 2000s, 90s, 80s, whatever. It's just, you have these people that have came in from the 2020s that are COVID era fans that will say anything that is not deemed acceptable by society needs to be removed and never be created whatsoever. And it's why I went on links to talk about stuff like, for instance, Mushoku Tensei, because if it was up to individuals, that series would never exist as well. So seeing basically My Dress Up Darling coming back in 2025 and having an episode like this, it brings a smile to my face, and it feels so good to see that these animators do not care. They do not care about what people in the West that are mentally ill have to say. People that cannot separate fiction from reality. I appreciate it so much. It just, as a person that's been watching anime for way over 20 years, I appreciate this more than I can ever truly put into words. Now, with that being said, and getting off that topic, I'm glad to have My Dress Up Darling back, because despite obviously just the fan service, this is a legitimately good episode. It's a very good romance, slice-of-life story with some fantastic animation. Like, just straight up, the animation is on the same tier as Season 1 was, and honestly, there's so many moments I think is even above that. Yes, there's some high-quality fan service moments, not gonna act like there ain't. I would definitely say it is on the same level as Season 1, and probably even better than Season 1, but there is moments that isn't just strictly fan service that has some really beautiful just expressions. For example, at the beginning of the episode, around the 7-minute mark, you will see Marin trying to get Gojo to eat the actual Pocky from her mouth and basically initiate a kiss sequence. It's a very sweet, adorable scene, and the animation in this moment is very spot on, and it showcases it isn't just, let's say, the fan service scenes that get high detail. It's these intimate moments that just get very steamy between the two characters, with them potentially about to kiss. And this is some peak romance. As a guy that really loves romance stories and manga and anime and stuff, this is very peak, especially as someone that has read the manga and has finished the manga. For those unaware, the manga of My Dress Up Darling is finished. It's over. Love the ending, by the way. I wouldn't say it is like the perfect ending of all time and it beats any romance series that's ever came out before it, but it is good. I appreciate what it was. And I think in this day and age, especially in 2025 when it comes to manga and anime endings, it's about as good as it can get. But with that being said, though, like I'm trying to point out here is that there's so many sequences within this episode that is just beautiful, and it reminds you of the relationship and the connection that Marin and Gojo have as individuals, and why they support each other and help each other out so much. But one moment that really stood out to me when I was watching this episode, and I'm glad that it came up, because it was there not to just remind the audience of, like, Gojo as a character, but also to showcase the struggle that, you know, really started the story to begin with. For instance, there is a moment at the ending of this episode where Gojo remembers his childhood friend that basically called him a weirdo and a creep for daring to dress up like dolls, Hina dolls and stuff, and put makeup and stuff on, which led to a lot of PTSD and trauma that he had early on in his life, which is what eventually led him to meeting Marin and starting that whole story with them together, My Dress Up Darling to begin with, and kind of what led him to even doing cosplay. But what I'm saying is I love this ending kind of affirming Gojo's trauma and PTSD, but also showcasing that times have changed, and he is around people that are very acceptable of him, open about him, and they are not really calling him a creep or a weirdo anymore. He's amongst people that share very similar interest in him, or just they're not going to go out of their way to really judge him. And I find that just beautiful. It's a very beautiful segment, honestly, for Gojo's character, because it's just, I don't know, man, I've always loved him as a character, and just seeing his personal struggles and stuff, it's been endearing and inspiring, honestly. And then you accompany that with Marin's outgoing personality and just very unfiltered behavior, it really just makes an interesting dynamic between both said characters. Now, with that, getting a basic summary to this episode and what it's about, it's more or less about Marin wanting to cosplay as a bunny girl. That's pretty much it. That is literally what the episode's about, besides like some other characters, like support characters and stuff appearing at the end and Halloween outfits, and then also Gojo having this moment with, like, you know, realizing that he is surrounded by people that are not going to call him a creep or weirdo, and he can just do what he wants and talk about what he wants without feeling like he's getting judged. It's very beautiful stuff. But that's basically the first episode, which is fine. It's a very simplistic and simple episode to come back to, and I mean, to be fair, it's been 3 years since season 1, so coming back to a very complex plot that's just, you know, trying to get you into a very serious arc or something wouldn't necessarily be a good idea. It's a really good starting point for an episode 1 of season 2, because it reminds you of the connection between the characters, the main themes and messages of the story, and obviously giving what the fans want, and that is the fan service. So, with that all being said, though, it's good to be back, man. I'm glad to see this series exist. I'm glad to see Season 2 exist. I can't wait to be canceled for talking about this series or even talking about the fan service scenes in a positive light, because I want to have someone try to call me some form of buzzword after I upload this video. But it is what it is. But I love you guys. Be safe. Stay healthy. Chibi out.